Guys, just want to make another live stream here today. I figure these are the kind of the best ways to kind of connect with my audience. I post a lot of videos, a lot of shorts, but honestly, being able to just jump on and have conversations is really beneficial too, I believe. So, the reason for today's live stream is just the struggles that, um, I face as a single father and some of the things that maybe you guys struggle with as well. I know being a single dad, one of the things I have a struggle with is, um, and this is like a weird thing to think about is, you know, me and my ex have a great co-parenting relationship, but sometimes I think I'm a little too willing to compromise, and she is the same too. But like a lot of times lately, my son's wanted to go back to his mom's house instead of staying with me, and that part's a real struggle for me, and it's been going on for a couple months now. It usually goes through like these phases where like he wants to be with me, and it's usually during the week during a school day. And I don't know if that's because he thinks he's gonna stay up late, but it's a it's hard because like today's a beautiful day. It's a Friday. I want to go do fun things with him, and I had to drop him off today because I had to go to the car dealership to pick up my car that just got fixed. But now that he's at his mom's house, he wants to stay there. So these are the things I struggle with. I've made videos in the past about kind of being in the moment with things. And I think one of the hard parts about being a single dad is that like you don't get the same opportunities and the same amount of opportunities that a regular nuclear family would have. So um, like I have to take every time I'm with my son as like a limited opportunity, and I need to make the most of it. So I think days like this where he is wanting to be at his mom's house, it's a bit of a struggle because this is one less opportunity that I have to be with him. So um, hello, I appreciate you joining. What brings you on? Are you a single dad? What's going on, guys? I appreciate you guys joining the live stream. I was just discussing. There was nobody on yet, but kind of the struggles I have as a single dad. Uh, Me and my ex finally have a good co-parenting relationship, but um, I think we've allowed each other to have our son more times. Like I'm more flexible with my parenting time, and she's flexible with her parenting time. But the only downside to that is that we've tried to do what we could to make it the best for our son. But the last couple of months, my son's enjoyed being at his mom's more than he's enjoyed being here, and that's like a really big struggle because as a single dad, I haven't dated since our custody case. Um, Honestly, like family court kind of ruined dating for me. I used to be a hopeless romantic and used to believe in like fairy tale love and stuff like that. And ever since then, I've been kind of jaded. And honestly, like when I start dating, I feel like I'm doing my son a disservice by not being available for him. So that's something I'm working through. But I think days like today, where he prefers to be with his mom, is a struggle because, like I was talking about, as single dads, we have limited opportunities with our kids. In regular nuclear families, you have an opportunity to be with your kids every single day. And as a single dad, you don't have that. So when you are with your kids, you have to maximize your time with them. Um, so like days like today, like I plan out what I was gonna do with him, and my car just got finished in the shop. So I dropped him off at his mom's house so that I could go pick up the car because the kid doesn't want to sit and wait for a car at a car dealership. Um, but now that he's at his mom's house, he wants to stay there. But I live here in the Northeast, and we have limited nice days. So I really wanted to go do some fun stuff with him tonight. Go look for fish and go look for frogs and stuff like that. And it was a it's a struggle. I'm just looking at the chats. Uh, so I've been in Germany before for the army. I see you're asking who's German. So I'd be interested where you guys, if you're in the chat, where are you logging in from? All right. So I guess I'll just keep on going with stuff that I struggle with as a single dad. So I mean, luckily my family court stuff finished about 2 years ago, and there has been peace in my life. And I think of all the things that I think about, once I realized the relationship wasn't going to last, once we started doing the family court stuff, and that was the most terrible time of my life. I don't think people really understand the emotional toll that family court takes on you. I was in there one day and I was sitting and I was filing some of my paperwork and documents. I was like, this is really like the most depressing place. I was like, can you guys get like some therapy dogs or like therapy animals or stuffed animals? Like, it's just like the most depressing place. You're constantly seeing uh, basically the worst of society. Like, I think once you realize that the relationship, the family dynamic's not going to work, like I think seeing failed marriages and failed families is absolutely disheartening. And like the worst part about family court is that it doesn't end quickly. Like it's a very drawn out process. It's not like you file your documents and you go in. They're like, okay, well here's what you need to do. They adjourn things and they keep going on and on and on. And honestly, like it's really the hardest part about being a father in family court is that like you don't get the same protections that others do. Like I think if you're like a dad that doesn't care, it's almost easier because you can give up your rights, and the court will side with the mother pretty quickly. But if you're a dad that actually wants like to be in your kids' lives, it's an extremely uphill battle, especially with like the way family court and society just kind of looks at fathers in general. And on top of that, like I see all these things in the paper and the news about like these dads doing these horrific things. And unfortunately, like all of us are judged by the worst of us. And unfortunately, it's just the way the system is right now. And I really don't know how it's going to change. Um, but once I got through that part of it, like things finally started to calm down and there was peace and we were able to finally co-parent. Um, I can't emphasize how important like peace is in your life. And a lot of times, getting peace means putting your pride aside. I think being a dad, being a father, being a man, being in the military, like all that, like I feel like we have to be the best, and like being the best means that we have to be in control of everything. And unfortunately, once you get to this stage, uh, you're not really in control. And I talk about the family court, like yeah, certain people can get more in their custody agreement than others do. But truly, like nobody really wins in family court. And we did like the in the beginning when we finally had the custody agreement. We were so focused on being always right that like we followed black and white that like we had to follow it, and there was no there was no flexibility in it at all. Like it was always like, it's 501, where are you? And like stuff like that. And it just it's so toxic. And like I'm grateful that we got beyond that. But again, like now that there is peace, like we try to do what's best for our son. It's hard to go backwards and be like, well, this is my parenting time, so I want to have it. And um because like honestly, like the courts do not really they don't really push the custody agreements. Like it's not even enforceable. Like when there was stuff wrong with the custody agreement, like I would call, like at this point we were going back and forth, but like I'd call the police because of certain things, and the police would not. They would not enforce the custody agreement, which is obviously insane to me. Like, I thought this was supposed to be a legal document, but I guess it's up to interpretation. Uh, so that was frustrating, and like, like I'm saying is now that things are peaceful, like I'm willing to let him stay at his mom's house, and I really struggle with the days where he wants to stay with his mom because usually those days are days I plan on us doing something. I always tell people in my videos too is like I think quality time is the best thing that you can have with your kids. Like truly like being in the moment, putting distractions away. Um, Simple stuff like I mean, depending on the age of your kids, but like when I started being a single dad, he's around 4 years old, and like the most the most thing I have for being fun is going to a playground and like doing stuff like that that's free. So like going to the playground, playing hide and seek, playing tag, those type of things are the core memories that he's gonna remember. Um, yes, you are the only one here. I realize that like in these live streams that people just jump on and jump off. So I realized I just start telling stories and start listing things. So if people chime in and they want to comment on something, then I'll kind of expand on that. But I appreciate you being in here. So if there are any dads watching, if you're gonna fight for your kids, make sure that you are being consistent and you're doing everything you can to be present in the moment. Because there's so many parents, it really aggravates me. Like I'll go to like the playground or I'll go to like a trampoline park or like basically like anything that's kid friendly, and I'll see kids playing by themselves. Um, and like the parents will be over in the corner on their phones. I'm like, your kids want to have fun. And honestly, like that that time is so limited. Like it goes by so fast. Like my son's about to turn 8 in 2 weeks, and I struggle immensely with like this period of time in his life because like I've enjoyed the little kid phase so much, and um, kind of transitioning to him being a little kid is extremely difficult. Like I want him to stay a little kid, and unfortunately, they just don't stay little kids forever. He's getting bigger, he's getting heavier, and uh, coming to terms with that part of it is very difficult. I mean, I know there's going to be fun things in this next stage, and like being able to play sports and to be able to like go fishing and go to like sporting events and not have to worry as much. But like the little kid phase is so fun. Like um, I remember I used to like wrestle with him, and like we would pretend like we were WWE wrestlers, and like he would keep asking for more, and like I'd like. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, good. Um, yeah, so I remember like having like child-proof the room when I was like wrestling with him because he'd want to wrestle on the bed, and he would keep bumping into the frame and getting bumps on his head. Um, yes, I realize you're the only one listening, and I appreciate that. So what I do is like if I don't have a lot of people in here and there's not really a conversation, I'll just go on a tangent on storytelling, and then I'll post them as regular videos later on, and people can come in and watch at their leisure. But this is my time where I can actually uh, talk to people if people have things that they want to talk about. Um, so I guess since you're here, are you subscribed to my channel? If you are, I have a bunch of fun dad jokes on my channel. I can share some of them if you'd like. So if you guys are joining in and you have comments about things that you struggle about with your single dad journey, please feel free to put them in the comments. I'd love to. My goal with this channel is to be a support system and kind of be what there isn't really a lot of out there. Um, so if you're brand new to this, basically the reason why I created this channel was uh, when I was searching things on how to be a single dad, there was only things that pertain to doing the custody battle in court, and honestly, like that's only a small part of it. And like I want to be able to give dads advice on how to be the best versions of themselves when it comes to being a parent, because this honestly is a challenging time, and it's challenging to be a dad because uh, our relationship with our kids isn't the same as it is with a mother. A mother kind of has that natural connection with their kids, and dads really have to like foster that because I know so many instances and so many people that uh, especially with single mothers, like the dads just don't come around, and they just they don't make an effort, and like so it has to be on us, and it has to be on dads to kind of put our pride aside when it comes to things. Like there's so many dads that are like so like bent out of shape about having to pay child support or do this or do that, and um, honestly, that really blows my mind. Is like you made a kid, you should want your kid to have the best possible life that they can have. And does it suck giving child support every month? Yeah, like especially for me, like it's like 25% of my paycheck after taxes. But like I didn't have a good dad growing up, and I realized the effects it had on me not having a dad. So like my number one thing is to be the dad I wish I would have had. So that's kind of what my YouTube channel is about, is kind of just going through my stories and all the trials and tribulations that I went through, and being able to kind of coach people and be an example that you can look up to and aspire to. I think the funny thing is that a lot of my audience tends to be moms, um, which I think is funny, but I guess I understand it because, like, I guess moms want to see what their deadbeat exes should be like. Hello, Christian. Hello, Lola. Thanks for rejoining my stream. So, where are you guys logging in from? I'm here in the Northeast in New York. Okay, so I mean, until somebody gives something in the chat, I'll just keep rambling on about random things. So again, create the channel to help dads. I have my dad jokes of the day every single day. So usually around like between 2 and 4 o'clock, I'll put my dad jokes up, and that's just kind of my way to introduce myself to people, kind of share my personality. I love dad jokes. I think they're funny, and uh, I think they entertain people from any walk of life. So that's why the dad jokes are up there. I can put those in the chat so you guys can check them out if you'd like. Um, if you're logging in, I would love for you to be a subscriber. Walnut Street, like, is are you? What state are you in? So again, if you guys aren't subscribed, if you want to check out my content, I have dad jokes. If you go on my channel, there's a new dad joke every single day in the shorts section. I have some compilations of my dad jokes. I have some fun facts of the days in there. I have a compilation there. Um, Basically, my goal is to help people become the best versions of themselves, but also have a approachable way about me. So that's why I have the dad jokes, is so you guys can be like, he's an okay guy. So um, and honestly, I just started live streaming this week. I've been on YouTube now for about 7 8 months. this journey's definitely been strange. When you first start, like you think people are instantly going to want to watch your story because you think you're interesting, and you realize pretty quickly that you're not that interesting. Um, I've done almost 530 videos now, so I'm a little more comfortable in front of the camera. But when I first started, like I would talk like this, and you would see my personality. And like I think that's if any of you on here are creators, that's all I can say is just have repetition and be in front of the camera. Um, like right now, I'm talking to you like you're in the room with me, and um, my dog keeps making me play fetch with him. So uh, I apologize if I dip in and out of the camera. But so I have my dad jokes, I have my fun facts of the day, I have my dad wisdom, dad humor, dad advice. I have my military videos, I have faith videos, I have videos on grief and loss. I have videos on having adversity be like a main motivator in your life, kind of to push you forward. Well, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Thanks, Josh. I appreciate the good luck wish. Honestly, it's awesome that you guys are even logging in. Like, I'm always curious of what people think when they log in. You're in Phoenix, Tiffany. I have to make it out there to Arizona sometime. I'm up here in the Northeast, and when it's hot, it's usually really super humid. So uh, I think I'd like to bring my son to Arizona so he can experience the dry heat. You're trying to go on vacation. I don't even know what vacation is. Like I've been to a bunch of different places, but like I haven't been on a true vacation probably since college. Um, I went on spring break in college to Tampa Bay and St. Pete. Um, and the best advice I have is if you're going to like Florida or anything down there is bring sunscreen because the moment I got to Florida, I immediately got sunburned. So there's some dad advice, and there's my inner dad speaking to you: is make sure you wear sunscreen, have a hat, have sunglasses, make sure you're covering up from the sun. You don't want to get melanoma or anything like that. Um, so I'm gonna drop my dad jokes in the chat so you guys can check out my content. I have a 15-minute video of my jokes. So let me watch some of them and let me know what you guys think. If you think they're funny, I try to start from the newest first and then kind of go towards my oldest content last, just because my newest content is better. So um, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to drop it down in the chat here. Welcome back for whoever's joining. If you're struggling single dad and you got some things you want advice about, please put it in the chat. I would love to be able to help you guys out. OKC or San Antonio. Well, I'm a Knicks fan, so whoever the Knicks can be easier, that's who I want to make the finals. So um, I'm here in New York, so it'd be nice to see the Knicks finally do it. So here's the video of my dad joke compilation. So if you guys want to check that out, let me know what you think. So here's the video of my dad joke compilation. So if you guys are joining, feel free to chime in the chat. I love having discussions. New York taxes are too high. Yes, they are. I feel like my taxes could pay another person's salary. It's kind of ridiculous. Even in the military, like in the military, I get taxed New York state taxes. So like when I was in basic training, there'd be people from Texas and Florida, and they wouldn't have the state taxes. So um, like theoretically, somebody that was lower ranked than me would be getting paid more because they had less taxes coming out. I agree. They should be tax free. It's kind of crazy when I think about the fact that like I'm paying taxes to pay for the military, to pay me, then to tax me to pay for. It's like a cycle. Like I think my last bonus was taxed at 45%. Our New Yorkers really hyped about the Knicks in the finals. So I'm in Western New York, so I'm about 6 hours away from the city. Uh, so there's an interesting mix of fans around here. There's honestly, it's crazy. There's actually a lot of Warriors fans in here because of like the bandwagon Steph Curry fans. Um, there's a lot of Bulls fans from back in the day. There's a lot of Lakers fans because of all the championships, and there's actually quite a bit of Cavaliers fans because we're only about 4 hours from Cleveland. Thanks for joining. Um, so if I was in New York City, I heard it's pretty hyped in New York City about the Knicks. Uh, I'm here around Buffalo, so we had the Sabres lose last week, and that was kind of heartbreaking. And the Bills have been coming up short the last couple of years. Am I hyped about the new Bills Stadium? So I'm kind of sad about the old stadium going away. I had season tickets for 18 years from 2007 until 2025. Um, New York City has city income tax, get what they deserve. So I kind of wish the New York City would kind of become like its own little district by like by IC. Thanks for coming in again. I wish it become its own district, kind of like DC is, because I feel like 90% of our taxes go downstate. But I mean, some of our taxes went towards building the new Bills Stadium. So the new stadium's not domed. It's got a circular roof. So like 65% of the seats are covered. Honestly, I've been to many cold games and snow games, and I don't know if I like the idea of it being domed because obviously like it wouldn't be freezing, but there's something about being in a cold weather stadium when like it's really raucous and the Bills are actually doing good. Like the last cold weather game I went to was the Bills Patriots wild card game back in I believe it was 2024. And it was like the perfect game against the Patriots, and like we just destroyed them, and it was awesome. But it was like negative 15 degrees with the wind chill. Yeah, Ryan Miller was the goaltender. I remember when he came out and he was I used to watch him when he was in the AHL. Um, but he was at the Sabres game 2 weeks ago, and he was doing the drum, and he looks so old. Honestly, that's the weirdest part about getting old is that, like you see people you thought like you remember being young, and then you look at them and they look like old people. That's crazy. So I hope so. I would love for him to finally get a Super Bowl. The city would be absolutely nuts if the Bills ever won the Super Bowl. Yeah, they're all old now. They're all like in their late 40s, early 50s. Um, Age is a weird thing. It's like when you're younger, age time goes by really slow, and when you're older, it flies by. How's it going, Owen? So I had this interesting. I was driving home from New Jersey on last week, and I started having a conversation with AI. And I was like, when I was younger, because I was born in 1985, and like even in like 1995, like the 80s seemed like such a long time ago. And I was like, why does it feel like back then 10 years ago felt like it was an eternity? But now like I think about stuff like movies and stuff that came out like 20, 25 years ago, and it feels like it was yesterday. And it's pretty interesting. They said like because back in the day, basically media stuff was like when new stuff would come out, the old stuff would become obsolete. So like when I guess the rotary films came out, when like the beta cases came out, the old stuff you couldn't find it anymore. Instead, like it was little niches. And then like with 8 tracks and then cassettes and then records and CDs, Like today, all this stuff is available to you. So like you can go online, you can listen to any music you want, you can watch any movie you want, and uh, it doesn't really seem like there's that much time difference from like the last 25 years. So like I'm curious how this generation is gonna be because like for my generation, which I was born in the 80s as a kid in the 90s, and then 90s and 2000s, like wondering how kids are going to be able to delineate the different decades now. Like my son's almost 8, and like I feel like nothing has really changed in the last 10 years. I mean, we had smartphones, just I guess AI is now more prevalent, and like stuff becomes more uh, advanced, but like we still had smartphones 10 years ago. The reason you're a Sabres fan is because CHL minor affiliate was based in. That's crazy. So you're a Sabres fan. It was a good year to be a Sabres fan. I mean, we've sucked for the last 15 years. So that's the weird thing about the like again getting old with like time being different. So like I'm a Bills fan, and they didn't make the playoffs for 17 years, and that 17 years felt like it was an entire lifetime. But like the Sabres have been out of the playoffs for 14 years, and the 14 years felt like it was a blip in time. So it's weird how you time just goes differently as you get older. But I'm glad you're a Sabres fan. Are you a Bills fan too, or just a Sabres? Well, thanks for coming and going again, Icy. So everybody else that's on here, I say I have 4 people on. Whereabouts you coming from? What brings you to my page? Are you just randomly scrolling? Stay loyal Louisiana and you're a Saints fan. That's all right. If you're in Louisiana, it wouldn't be the same being a Bills fan. I mean, being a Bills fan in Western New York is quite the experience. When I started going to games when I was a kid, and then I bought season tickets when I was uh, 18. But now the new stadium, I can't even afford to buy tickets there. And honestly, as I'm getting older, like now that they're good, like working a job where I work at 7 o'clock in the morning, like I can't stay up. I can't stay up those late nights anymore. And I would always get home like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. All right, so as you guys are kind of coming in and going, I'll just introduce myself again. I'm Aaron. I made this page, this YouTube channel because I'm a single dad. My goal is to help other single dads. I've gone through. I'm also in the military. I'm in the army, so I have a bunch of military videos as well, where I kind of go through my military journey. I originally joined when I was 18. I joined again when I was 31. So I have a different experience from both of those stages. So I have quite a bit of military videos on my page. I also have grief and loss stuff where I talk about my journey through uh, losing loved ones. Also about motivational stuff about going through adversity and having it be a major motivator for moving yourself forward in life. I do have some faith based content as well, and some dog content for my Australian Shepherd, which you can see right there. Um, his name is Rocky, and he keeps annoying me to play with his ball. So I figure you guys can look at my dog too while I play. So or while I talk. So luckily, I live in an apartment where I have a long hallway because he'll drop the ball over and over and over again and keep running down the hallway. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you saying that. The thank you for your service thing is always like a weird topic for a lot of the military. Like we're definitely appreciative of like people saying it, but like sometimes like when you're out in public, like you don't know how to handle it because like for my military job, I'm a paralegal, which is like all office work. So like I'm like if people really saw what I do for my job, they probably wouldn't say thank you. So I appreciate you saying that. So since you guys can see Rocky, my Australian Shepherd, do any of you guys have pets? Yeah, that's true. I also think the reason why people say thank you for your service, and this is like because I think, well, this is like the first generation, like the last 20 years, where it's been all volunteer and all volunteer force. So you think about the fact that like somebody saying thank you for your service, you're serving in place so somebody else doesn't have to. So sometimes I see it that way. Um, honestly, it's I think the coolest thing is like obviously sometimes I feel uncomfortable when people say thank you for your service. Um, but then it's pretty cool when you see like little kids and they come up and they look at you like you're a superhero in uniform. So I'm still glad that the uniform represents something and it still inspires people and in ways like that. Um, it was pretty funny. So last November, my goal is to kind of educate the younger generation about like stuff and like why we do what we do. Um, and I went into my son's school in uniform for Veterans Day, and I kind of wanted to like tell the kids what Veterans Day was compared to like Memorial Day because on Memorial Day still people will still say thank you for your service, and like I'm alive. Memorial Day is for those who passed before us um, in battle. So every year we go to the local cemetery where my grandfather is buried. He was a World War II veteran, and we put flags on the graves. I mean, I know technically Memorial Day is for the ones that passed during um, war or in combat, but I still think it's important to put flags on any service member, any service member's grave. Kind of pay that respect, and honestly, it teaches my son to kind of understand what the uniform represents. But again, it was funny when I was going into the classroom last year and talking to the kids in uniform because like the number one question I got is, "Did you drive your tank here?" And I'm like, "Oh, we don't have a tank." And then like they kept asking questions about tanks and like what kind of guns does it, what kind of guns does it shoot, and can we go ride in the tank? And they would ask random questions like, uh, "How how do you drink water in the army?" Like, how do you eat food? How do you sleep? Um, so those are some of my fun stories about teaching the kids about the military. So if you guys are watching, I appreciate you jumping in. If you're new to this stream, kind of put down in the comment where you're logging in from, what brought you to my page. Uh, Definitely love having conversations. And if you see Rocky in the background, he's enjoying playing fetch. What's WSP mean? Happy birthday! How old are you today? What does WSP mean? Can somebody put that in the chat? Uh, so originally I was a single dad by circumstance, but I've been a single dad now by choice. So I mean, I've been out of my relationship now with my son's mother for 4 years, and basically I focused my time on being the best dad I possibly could. And honestly, once the family court stuff figured out, like I started dating again, and it's hard to meet somebody, and it's, especially when it comes to like meeting single women. Like single women like want, especially at my age, they want to be able to like travel and go out every night. And honestly, like that's not my lifestyle anymore. I'd rather stay home and kind of do family fun stuff. Um, but then like being at this age is a really weird age because I'm 40 now, and like either at this stage you're single because you had a failed marriage, or if you're single, it's because you have some kind of issues that you can't get over. But at this stage now, like when I finally found happiness after my relationship ended and I was able to get over the relationship, uh, having peace in my life was amazing. And I think it's really hard to now try to move into a relationship because I enjoy the peace and it's nice not having those emotions anymore. And um, but now I'm single by choice. Thank you for clarifying what WSP means. 15. So, have you watched any of my dad joke videos? I feel like some of them would be funny for your age group, and I have some fun facts in there too on my shorts page. So, you live in Europe. What part of Europe? I've only been to Germany for the army, so that's my only European experience. But my goal is to get to Croatia. Is that the old USSR? Was it formerly part of the Soviet Union? That's what I thought. So, what's life like in Croatia? They go to Ramstein? No, I went to Grafenwehr, which is in Bavaria, down on the southwest or southeast part of Germany. Um, it's where the Disney castle was modeled after. Was the I think it's called New Wafhofstein. But it's a castle in the mountains. And I was at Grafenwehr for a little bit. I was at Vilsec, and then I was at JM in Hohenfels, which was a a joint base. So we did a lot of black ops stuff. So I served with like the British Army, the Italian Army, German Army. Um, we kind of trained the other NATO nations. So that was a pretty cool experience. Was right next to the tank ranges, which is an interesting feeling being near a tank range. It sounds like you're at explosions all around. Um, eat, swim, walk, and sleep. That sounds like a nice day or lifestyle. But no, I did not go to Ramstein. Maybe one day. My goal is to go to Italy next. So I want to become a master fitness trainer for the army. So I'd like to go to where is it? Valencia in Italy. It's right outside of Florence, up in northern Italy. So if you're in Croatia, is soccer like really the only sport, or isn't basketball pretty big there too? And water polo. It's funny. The first time I watched water polo, I was like, "That looks like a fun sport." And then, like, I learned like a couple years ago, like they're actually in the deep end of the pool and they're treading water the entire time, which is absolutely insane. Like, I'm like, how do you how do you stay afloat and do that for the whole time? Is Croatia even good at soccer or football? Like to the point where they would win the World Cup? Ice hockey, or I know in the U.S. field hockey isn't really big, but I know overseas it is. So is it? Do you play ice hockey or field hockey? And do you call it soccer or do you call it football in Croatia? Both. I guess you don't get confused like they do here for American football. Yeah, I don't know if the term soccer was created in the United States to kind of differentiate it from American football, or if it was always called soccer. Let's look it up. So the term soccer originated in England in the 19th century. Soccer was used to distinguish it from other forms of football like rugby. The term became popular in the United States to differentiate it from American football, so that makes sense. While football is commonly used worldwide, soccer remains prevalent in the US and Canada. Thus, the term was not invented in the US, but its usage there is unique. Well, there's a fun fact. So maybe you learned something today. Um, if you're looking to ski, probably Colorado. Denver's a mile high where you can be in the mountains and ski during the day and then come down and be warm during the night. The skiing's not too bad here in New York. Just the weather is uh, it's hit or miss. Like this year was like the first year where we've had like a, a crazy amount of snow. So I'm not in New York City. I'm in Western New York. Western New York's more like suburban and rural. Like it takes 6 hours to drive to New York City, and uh, it's mainly like fields and stuff until you get to like also there's like pockets. Like there's Rochester, there's Buffalo, there's Syracuse, Binghamton, Albany. Like those are little clusters of like cities, but then like the rest of it's like farmland and uh, like suburbs. Yeah, minus the other thing we talked about taxes. That's like the one downfall of being in New York is paying those high taxes. You're going in the 11th grade. So how does school work over there in Croatia? Is it differently than because here it's like I know in some of those other countries they have like you go to schools based on your occupation that you're going to be in and like science high schools and stuff like that. Or is it like here in the US where it's like general ed and then like college is where you specify? So I see a bunch of people just joined. I appreciate you guys joining. If you guys want to tell me where you're logging in from, what brought you to my page, I would love to continue a conversation. You can watch Rocky in the background play fetch with me. Okay, well in the U.S. it's just basic education, so it's kindergarten through 12th grades. We do have some like there are some high schools that are like targeted towards like the arts or like some occupations or engineering. But for the most part, most schools are uh, like general education, and then you decide what you want to do after. You skipped a grade. I think I failed a grade because I wasn't ready to move on. As you can see, Rocky is obsessed with his ball. He he just he'll sit here and stare at me until I throw his ball. So, um, Rocky, sit, sit. Rocky, sit. Good boy. So, do any of you that are on here have dogs? Rocky, come, come. Rocky, come. You have five? Are they in your house? Do you have a mansion? I feel like you might be. You have 10 siblings. Are you Catholic? Because I have 7 siblings. It's because my mom was Roman Catholic. We considered moving to Texas to live in the McMansion. Well, I mean, technically, Catholicism is a sect of Christianity, but their practices lead to more children than others. So, um, living in a McMansion is it owned by McDonald's? Unfortunately for me, I'm stuck in New York because my son's here, so I can't really leave. Maybe when he's older, if he moves somewhere. But Rocky, where's your ball? I don't know if you guys can see how intensely my dog is looking at me because I'm not throwing the ball. Is my dog Catholic? He's not practicing now. He was told all dogs go to heaven, so it doesn't feel like he really has to do anything. So, did you know that in Switzerland it is illegal to buy? You said hamsters, but did you know it's illegal to buy one guinea pig? If you buy a guinea pig in Switzerland, you have to buy two of them because they need to have friends. So that's a fun fact of the day if you didn't know that. The dog needs to go to mass. What's my desired outcome for my child when raising him? So I talk about this a lot. I didn't have a great dad growing up, and so a lot of things I learned on my own, and I had some I had some good mentors when I was older, and some more positive male role models. But my childhood was not really filled with like a present father emotionally. So honestly, like my goal is like I know every parent is like they want their kids to be like a doctor or something like that. But honestly, like my goal for my son is just raise him to be a good person. First and foremost, I want him to be a good person. Like I want him to be empathetic. I want him to do the right things when he has to have integrity. Um, and I think through that, I think success will come for him. I just want him to work hard in life. That whatever he does, that like if he wants to be a garbage man, try to be the best garbage man he can. If he wants to be a doctor, put all of his effort in that. I want him to be a good person first and foremost, treat people well, and hopefully make the world a better place. Because that's honestly like I think as dads, I think we have an opportunity to help push our kids in that direction. I'm glad you watched my dad joke today. And also with raising my son, so this is like another thing I talk about too is I definitely want to be a grandfather when I'm older, and I'm a firm believer that like if you don't put the time in now with your kids, and you don't make a consistent effort, and you're not there for them all the time, that you don't deserve to have. be a grandfather when you're older. So um, staying consistent, being present, not being distracted when I'm with him, uh, teaching him morals, teaching him by example. Those are the things I want for my son, and hopefully he has kids and he's a better father than I was, and kind of break the chains that were before him. I think parents need to raise kids to be skeptical of authority and the government. Um, yes and no. I think it's important for kids to understand what's right and wrong. I think that's an important thing to teach them. But I also don't want to put like, especially at this stage of my life, because I think like kids are like, it's like three different phases that kids go through. So like this is one of the things I learned from another dad when I got older was like there's three phases that kids are in. You have your first stage, which is like 0 to 6. That's when you're you're disciplining them. So you're basically like you're teaching them like please say thank you, all that stuff. Age 6 through 12 is when you're teaching them. So like this is when they're learning like mathematics, history, stuff like that. And then from ages 12 to 18, this is when you're guiding them. So you're taking all the stuff that you taught them and then you're guiding them and pushing them forward. So yeah, I think that uh, I think you teach your kids based on like being in the army. Like I want him to understand authority and I want him to respect people. And I think respect is earned until it's taken away. Sometimes respect can be taken away pretty easily and pretty quickly. But I think first and foremost, I want him to look at everybody as equal, or I want him to respect everybody at first. Like I want everybody to have the same fair shot in his eyes, and then let him use what he knows and what he's learned to see what's right and wrong. Um, for political stuff, I can't really get too much into it, especially since I'm still currently active. Um, I have to remain kind of do what I'm told at this point. So maybe one day I'll share my views or my points, but right now I just I go with the flow, at least online. So you're raised right, and my mom raised me. Did you was your dad around at all, or just your mom? I think it's good to be smart, but I think the one hard part is that like I think going through life without like a present father, I kind of realized how important it is to have a dad around. And I think that's honestly one of the reasons why I created this page is that like, or this channel is that I want dads to kind of like make themselves become the best versions of themselves because kids need it. Like, um, I remember being a kid, like having playing sports and like looking up and wishing my dad was there, or like being at the playground, just seeing something as stupid as like yeah, look at me do this, look at me do that. And like that does so much emotionally for a kid. That's why like I'm always trying to do whatever I can to emotionally build up my son and make him emotionally strong by being there for him and knowing like dad's always going to be here as long as I can. Um, what's my social media policy? Um, so you mean like my social media policy for my son? So my son, he does have a tablet at his mom's house. I think that's one of the hard parts about being a single dad is that like you have two different when you and your ex separate you have two different lives. So like there's things that he learns here and he carries with him there, and then he has things that he carries with him from there to here. But my thing about like the tablets and the technology is that when I became a single dad, like I was so broke when I got my own place. Like our first place we had a TV, a bed, and I think a dresser. Like we didn't even have a couch yet. And the tablets I did buy him were at his mom's house. So I never really, when I got my own place, when he came over, I didn't have money to buy any of that stuff. So I spent most of my time with him playing games, playing board games, playing hide and seek, playing tag, doing stuff like that, going outside. So at my house, it became kind of the norm that we didn't play with technology. But like when he's at his mom's house, he does go on his tablet quite often. Um, but I think it was hard to begin because like he wanted to be able to play with those things, but like if we stay consistent with things long enough, our kids will pick up on it. And honestly, I'm grateful for that because now like my son will watch like YouTube on the TV, but I monitor it. Um, and the reason why I do that is because kids can go down rabbit holes really fast. I monitor everything. He watches YouTube on the TV. I can see what he's watching. If I see something that's wrong, I get it. I immediately change it. And honestly, sometimes it's a good learning experience because sometimes things will pop up that maybe he shouldn't be seeing, and he'll have questions. And sometimes I think it's good for dads and parents to be the gatekeeper of like what's being presented to the kids and kind of like showing them what's right and what's wrong. Um, so for like social media, like I don't bring my son on any of my channel or any of my videos or anything like that, just because I think he's too young for that, and there's honestly weirdos out there. Um, and for like social media stuff like that, he doesn't. He had a phone for a little bit. It was a Wi-Fi phone because when my ex and I split up, we had reasons why we couldn't communicate. So I gave him a phone so I could FaceTime him, and he would like take pictures. But he's not allowed to have like Instagram or YouTube or his own YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or any of those things. Um, yeah, he's doing a little juicy dry. Yeah, the mindset changes over time. Obviously in the beginning, there's a lot of anger and anxiety and animosity towards the your other half. But I really got into my faith once my relationship ended. Like I started when we were together, and then when like the custody battle and the court battle started taking off is when I really got into my faith. And honestly, like that is what saved me in that period of time because it's really easy to be angry and resentful and regretful and all that stuff and to kind of act on those things and voice those opinions. But I try to take a different mindset, and all of it was like um, by having like a sense of gratitude of stuff. Um, because like the way I look at it is like, yeah, the situation sucked, and would I wish that on anybody? No, but I realized that I love my son and I have such a great relationship with him that I couldn't have that relationship with him if she didn't exist, if I never met her. So from that standpoint, like I try to tell myself like I'm grateful for the relationship and I'm grateful for even the bad stuff because without that, my relationship with him is not possible, and without her, he wouldn't be the person he is. So it's changing your mindset, and like I see a lot of it on social media. Like there's a lot of angry men, and I completely get it, but you just got to find a way to work through it. But yes, financially, it was really difficult and still difficult. Like I think I spent like $50,000 in in family court, and I pay a lot of money in child support, and I also support my son too in the real life. So it's I definitely make a lot less money than I make on paper. We'll say that. Yeah, yes and no. I think that child support, the system is flawed. I understand why it exists, and I think from one standpoint, like yeah, like I grew up poor, like I grew up on welfare, and it would have been nice having extra money. And I try to reframe things in a mindset of gratitude. So like every day I pray, and I pray with my son, and like the first thing we do is we pray for everything that we have, and the blessings that we have. Because honestly, there's people out there that would, like, even though some of my situations suck, like, there's people out there that would love to have the opportunity to be in the position I am. Even on my worst days, there's somebody that would trade with me in a heartbeat. Um, I guess the one positive about the child support is that my son's grown up with a pretty good life, and I didn't have that. So being able to see him succeed and have things that he wants and be able to have nice things is a blessing. I think the hard part is, like, I grew up poor, and he's growing up with, I would say, is a pretty privileged kid. Pretty much has everything he wants and needs. So I still try to keep him humble and teach him humility and kind of like tell him the things that he has he should be grateful for. Um, but like the child support system, like, I think the child support system is what makes the courts push, like, sole custody, or like is why they push away from having 50-50 custody, because all I wanted was 50-50 custody, and like I couldn't get it. Like, in my custody agreement, my word, we have joint custody, but my ex has, she's the custodial parent and I'm the non-custodial parent. So she gets child support, and I pay for a higher percentage of his, like, his medical and education and like childcare, stuff like that. But yeah, it sucks. And in New York, it's still 22 years old if they go to college, and 18 or whenever they get a job. Honestly, it was hard in the beginning to stay calm, because there's a lot of things that uh, were used against me that the, the family courts allow to happen, that they'll just do with what the women ask for. Um, but the way I always looked at it is that if I was to blow up, or if I was to get angry and make a big issue, I always tell people this is the one message I try to convey in my messages about, like, family court. You can't really change anything in one argument in one day. You can't say something positive that's gonna affect change now. But if you flip out, if you get angry, if you lash out, if you say something you don't mean, it can instantly ruin everything. So at one point, like, my custody battle was, I could have lost everything if I would have acted a certain way. So um, the biggest thing I've learned as a dad was, like, learning, because I think that every decision we make and every way we conduct ourselves has an immediate effect on how our kids are going to grow up. So, like, I try to think about things before I react. So, like, when my son gets mad, or when I get mad at him or does something like crazy, I think of how is what I'm about to say or what I'm about to do, how is that going to affect him for the rest of his life? So, case in point, a couple of years ago on Halloween, we were playing, and we went to a parade, and it had like those glow sticks, and he had like a necklace, and he was spinning around, and the thing flew off, broke off, went right into the TV, and the TV, like, turned into a dot. And like, I got so mad at, like, I'm like, this is like a $1,300 TV. It's smashed and broken. And I was like, and I saw the look on his face, and he was like so scared. And I'm like, what I do right now is gonna affect how our relationship moves forward. Like, do I want my son to be scared of me, or do I want him to understand what he did and respect, like, my way of doing things? So, like, I definitely conveyed that I was frustrated and like upset, but like, I didn't yell at him, I didn't belittle him. And I basically, like, after I got mad, I picked him up, I told him I loved him, and I basically told him, like, this is why you can't do it. So I think, like, I know there's like the soft parenting and the I think you shouldn't go too far in either direction, because then I see certain creators that are like, you need to be super hard on your kids all the time, because if you're not hard on them, then they become soft. But like, I think I think kids need balance. Like, when my son was younger, I disciplined him, I set the expectation, and if you don't if you don't perform this expectation, then there's going to be consequences, whether you lose something or you can't do something or you can't do something you want to do. I think that's what builds them to kind of build up. Because I remember being like a teenager and like I'd purposely hide things from my parents because I didn't want them to be pissed off at me. Because if they get pissed off at me, then I'll be in trouble. And um, I don't want him to ever um, I don't want him to ever basically like avoid me because he fears how I'm going to act. Like I want him when he gets older to be able to trust me that even when he makes bad decisions, that if he comes to me, I'm gonna guide him best I can. Um, you'd be irate, been gentle with multiple times. Yeah, so when we this is like the hard topic for me to talk about is when we broke up. Um, my ex had gone through this stuff before, and the moment we broke up, she filed for an order of protection and basically told the courts that because I was in the military, that I had access to weapons, so I couldn't be trusted. Um, and then I accidentally violated it a few times. Like one time, I accidentally sent a text message, and then the other time, I showed up to pick up my son from a doctor's appointment. So I went through the criminal justice system, and I went through that stuff without actually doing anything like of violence. I just accidentally screwed up and found myself in trouble. Um, But if I would have actually, so when I did go like court and stuff like that, they realized that there was nothing wrong and they dismissed all the stuff. But like if you actually get irate and you actually do something that's gonna escalate and get you in real trouble, like you can lose your kids forever. And honestly, like when it came to that stuff, I couldn't risk losing my son. Like my son's the best part of me, and I never want to lose him. And I don't want to lose him because of my actions. Because honestly, like right now he's at his mom's house and he wants to be there, and when he's not here it's the worst. And I'm pretty lucky when it comes to my custody arrangement because I have him every day. I pick him up from school, I have him on weekends. But like when he's not here, it's the worst. Like I remember going through the custody battle, and like our first custody agreement was so poorly written that like it stole time away from me. Like there was a Thanksgiving where I only got to see him for like an hour and a half because that was in the custody agreement for like a normal day. Um, one year I had him for Christmas morning, and then I didn't have him for a week, and like it just breaks you. So I tell people I'm like, you need to find a way when you're with your kids, separate the stuff that you're not with them, and when you're not with them, find ways of productively helping yourself. So like going to therapy, going to uh, a religious leader, talking to friends. And I would say try to get a third party person that's like non-biased towards one party or the other, because unfortunately, like talking to friends is great, but they tend to kind of tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear. Um, my father's an abusive alcoholic, ended up beating it in a coma in 2004. Yeah, yeah. And that's a perfect example of like the way the way we teach our kids, the way we raise our kids, the way we act around them, the way we present ourselves. That is how our kids are going to learn. That's how they're going to grow up. That's how they're going to know how to treat people. Vice versa. Like so, like your example, like you're kind of already put like in the negatives when it comes to kind of like helping and raising, but like your actions moving forward can always change, and you can always become a better person for what you went through. I always tell people, I'm like, I've learned way more from my failures than I have from any of my successes. So I think sometimes screwing up is beneficial because it gives you a whole different mindset and gives you a whole different set of clarity than you would have had regardless. Um, yeah. So I'm sorry you had an abusive father, and my father just wasn't. He was present, but he was just never there emotionally. And I think like both have negative effects, and like it's probably harder for you to connect to people because of that. But I think getting older and getting help and like working through those things, you can become a better version of yourself and kind of break those generational chains. Your brother fell down the stairs. Is he okay? Yeah, protective orders. Like I understand why they exist, but again, the worst part about the family court system is that every single dad is judged by the worst. So like, I have a couple of videos where basically like I have my apartment complex here, and a couple months ago, it's hard for me to talk about, but like a dad took his son's life and then took his own life, and like now, like he got so upset about what was going on that he decided that he was going to take things in his own hands, and he stole a child's life, his own child's life at that. So like the problem with the family court system is that they see things like that, and then they get so overly protective of everything that they allow like even like the people that can be abused by a system to do it, because if one person happens, like something bad happens to one person, that's one too many. um I wouldn't say I'm better than you. I think that like I said, I think we learn from our mistakes and we learn from our life, and I don't think that our story is ever complete. Like I feel like you have the opportunity to change your life, and that everything you went through, that adversity, can be a reason why you're the better version you are now, and why your kids are better versions of themselves, because you dealt with something and you have knowledge and you have wisdom. So yeah, I remember that happening. Honestly, it's I think the difference like becoming a father and becoming a parent is like I think like the first moment I met my son, I was more in love with him than I've ever loved anything. Like, um, and I think when you get in touch with that kind of love and like you realize what real love is, you become more sensitive to things. So like now like any school violence or any violence towards kids or anything like that, like I'm ultra sensitive to it, and like I generally get like super emotional about it, like when stuff like that happens, and like it definitely ruins my day. And like when I have my son, I I always make sure I hold him a little tighter, and I thank God for my son and all that, and it just this world sucks. Like, and that's the hard part is like as a kid, like I talk about one of my videos, my brother passed away when he was 4 years old, and before my son turned four, I had like all this paranoia, like PTSD, that something was going to happen to him, and I was like, I've been hyper vigilant with him, especially like being in the military. Like I teach him situational awareness. So, like we're outside, I'm like, so if your ball rolls in the street, let it go. Like if you're coming up to the street and there's a light and there's a walk sign on, don't just take the walk sign for granted. Like people don't watch, people don't pay attention, and it only takes one moment for your life to be catastrophically changed. So um, I'm more hyper vigilant in that way. And let's see. So how old are you? You said you don't want to have kids. You're 48. I mean, my sister had her son when she was 45. So I mean, there's still time. Uh, yeah. I think the one interesting thing is like when I found out I was going to be a dad, like I knew I wanted to be a parent my whole entire life, and um, I think I was interested in kind of breaking the norms because like my family has a history of mental health, mental illness, and like I wanted to break those chains. And like I look back at my family history, I'm like, honestly, it's pretty crazy that I even exist. Um, but like when my son was born, like there's no there's no uh there's no manual for it. There's Nobody tells you how to do it. It's all just trial and error. Um, and I think honestly, like the best thing a man can have is his ability to be self-aware in any aspect of his life, whether it's parenting, whether it's his career, whether it's like just anything in life. Your ability to be self-aware will push you forward in ways that anything else couldn't. Like if you can identify your deficiencies in real time and like when you're wrong, you can admit it and you can see that you're wrong. I think that's a huge way to move forward. And even as a father, like again, as being a man, like I think that we have such pride, like that sometimes we won't, even when we know we're wrong, we won't let ourselves admit to it. But I think when we admit our wrongs, that we can begin to rebuild and be better people because when we start making mistakes, we can identify and see it and then we can change course. So as a parent, there's a lot of things I messed up on, but usually if I messed up on something, I would be able to change course. I've always been a pretty empathetic person, so like I'm pretty in tune. Like when I think like the one time I got upset with my son, it was like when my relationship was ending, and I got in a fight with my ex, and like I raised my voice and screamed, and my son was genuinely scared, and like seeing the look on my son's face was like the most heartbreaking thing. I'm like, I never want to be the reason why he's scared again. Yeah, so I did grow up in I'm up here in New York, right outside the Rust Belt. Grew up poor, grew up on welfare, and uh, things were hard growing up. Um, I wasn't a good high school student. Wasn't a good student at all. I joined the army when I was 18. Didn't work out the first time. Um, my mom passed away when I was 23, and my grandparents all passed away by the time I was 23. And I decided that I was going to go to school. So I went to school and got my degree, graduated, worked in restaurants. Then I reenlisted in the army when I was 31, and I've been in the army for 9 years now as a reservist. I became a civilian paralegal, and then I worked my way up in the civilian sector. So um, that's one of my subsets of videos is basically using your adversity in life to kind of push yourself and motivate yourself. And like the hard part about that is that like I could use like the adversity and like the bad things as motivation when it came to like pushing myself through school because I wanted to be a better version of myself. But like when it came to like relationships, it didn't really work the same. Like I'm still not good at having relationships. That's why I'm still single at 40 years old. And I don't know when I'm going to be in a relationship again, just because I don't really trust trust people. But I think the reason why it's so easy to be a parent for me is that um, your kids love you unconditionally, and I think the hard part about relationships is that uh, they are conditional. And I think for me, like with my son's mother, like I wanted to marry her and I wanted to have the dream life, and it didn't happen. It didn't transpire that way. So like I put so much effort into that. And then like going through family court, I didn't want to put myself in that again. And then like a lot of the support channels that I would watch about like single dads, uh, a lot of them are going through the divorce part of it. Like luckily I wasn't divorced, so I didn't have like the alimony and stuff like that. But like I see the damage that like a failed marriage can have on a man, and I'm like, do I want that? Like I'm happy in life. Like right now, like I have a great relationship with my son. Like we have a pretty decent life. Like obviously, I was if I wasn't paying child support, I wasn't still paying off an attorney, I'd have a better financial life. But like I look at my life and I'm like, I'm blessed. I'm like I can put food on my table. I can pay my rent. Um, just little stuff like that. Like I think having a mindset of gratitude again is like if you can be grateful for even the smallest things in your life, and you take into consideration that like there's somebody that's out on the street right now. There's somebody that has cancer. There's somebody that's blind. There's somebody that can't walk. There's somebody like if you even like think about like small minute stuff like that, like even the ability to walk or breathe or stand or wake up, like your mindset just changes, and like you take everything as a blessing. Like I came to faith when I was older, and I think the hardest part, well, when you come into faith, is that like usually you come into it because something bad happened to you, um, and uh, you basically you start going to church or you come to God and you treat God like he's a genie, and you make wishes, and that's how you pray. And then when you don't get that prayer, you don't get that wish granted, like you become cynical and stuff like that. So I think the way I used to pray, or the way I still pray, is like I know myself, like I know who I am. God knows who I am, and I just pray like, God, if you, I just need you to guide me wherever you want me to be. I trust in you. I trust that you'll push me, and like I feel those nudges. Um, so, what part of Louisiana are you from? Because I got a buddy that's from Louisiana. He went to I went to basic training with him. He was from, I know he went to Louisiana Lafayette. He was a raging Cajun. Your wife can still have kids at 51. Look at if you look in the Bible, Sarah had kids at 93. So you're still she still has 42 years to go. You can still have kids. So Shreveport, is that the north? Is it rough because it's like it's a poorer community? Yeah, it's considered one of the poorest places in the country. Um, yeah, so where I live is there's the inner city is really poor. Um, yeah, I think one of my things that I have is like my PTSD from when I was a kid. I was on welfare. Like we didn't have food, we never had cars, we never had any of that stuff. Like Christmas never came where I lived, um, and like when I see stuff like that, like I see the homeless community and stuff like that. Like it's still hard for me to see that because like I think even like when you go through life and you've gone through rough times when you start, like you're still that. Like I always tell myself like all this can be taken away and I can be right back to there to going to the food kitchens, going to the pantries, and that's terrifying. And that's like it's still a motivating thing. And I think that's why like my goal is to hope that like my son doesn't have to ever have those thoughts in his head of like that. I mean, you can have it too. I mean, again, just start changing your perspective in just little ways, and you can find ways of seeing things you couldn't see before. Just like take like one thing I would do is I would have a gratitude list, and I would just take like a pen, a piece of paper, just write down the things that I'm grateful for that I didn't have, and then you start to see like the little things that like you realize that the good things far outweigh the bad things. Like, but the problem is that usually the bad things are the most polarizing things. Like, I don't have this, I don't have this car, I don't have this truck, I don't have this house, I don't have this, and like that's a toxic mindset. And unfortunately, as Americans, that's like how we perceive everything. Um, sorry, my son's making me. Hold on one second, guys. I just gotta send a real quick text. Okay, I'm back, guys. So do you have a good job? Is there an outlook of like things getting better or moving to a better community that would be better for you? Okay, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you like talking about soccer and Croatia and high school and all that, and your dogs. I'll be doing plenty of live streams, so feel free to jump on. I mean, my best advice to you if you're not where you want to be in your career is, I guess, well, the best time to look for another career is while you're already in a career because I think when you're in a career, like at least you can fall back on the fact that you're still making some money. Um, but this would be a great time to like brush up. I mean, if you want to do something different, brush up your resume. Find somebody that can fine tune your resume. I would say like this is a great time in history because now like we can utilize AI and stuff like that. Like if you were to put your credentials and stuff on AI, like you can use Gemini or Copilot or ChatGPT. I know these are hard things to start using. I know, especially as an older person, but like I started utilizing them a lot in my life. Um, like just figure out what kind of jobs you want to do. And like when I was looking at changing careers, I would go on LinkedIn. I was like, let me find somebody that's doing something that I want to do, and then I'd reach out to them and be like, how did you get to be where you want to be? Um, but again, like if you're doing a job and you have enough like to pay for your house, like look at that as a blessing. And like if you want to do something different, like put together your resume, and ChatGPT can make you sound like you're the most professional person in the world, even if like you don't know how to type it out very well. It can You can put something in there and it'll spit something out that'll make you look like you're a pretty good candidate. So if you want to do something different, like put yourself out there. Like I said, not everybody's gonna say yes, and sometimes people say no for the like. Sometimes when we don't get something, we get mad because we think that um, like God hates us or something like that. It's kind of funny when I look back on it. Like one of the worst days of my life was when after my relationship ended, I got fired from my job, and couple months later, I went back to working in the service industry, and my I got a random email from a company that wanted to hire me, and that company I still work for today. So sometimes things don't go the way we expect them or want them, but sometimes if we have the right attitude and we put our our right foot forward, we can sometimes find things that we would never expected. Just in those times, you gotta trust God and you gotta trust that He's gonna put you in the right positions. And if you keep a good attitude, if you work hard, if you treat people right, that blessings come your way. Is there a lot of oil fields up there? Isn't Louisiana like where it's like big in the because that's the Gulf Coast, right? Hello, I see somebody else jumped in. If you want to say something in the chat, I'd love to continue a conversation. We're having a good conversation about life and kind of how we can how we can help each other. So feel free to say something if you just logged in. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like if you want to do something, the best thing you can do is just have some kind of action. Um, the worst thing you can do is talk about it and not do anything. So if that's something you want to pursue, like I said, take your job history, take your military history, uh, go into one of the AIs, say you want a resume, type in your job history when you did it, and it'll put together a good resume for you. Um, and then just put the right foot forward and go for it. What do I do for work? So I work in the utility field. So basically, I'm in public relations. I got my degree in communication, public relations, and I do that for the utility company here. Yeah. So for I'm not Catholic or evangelical. I'm basically non-denominational. So I just believe in God. I believe He works in our ways, and He just wants us to believe in Him. And if we love Him with all of our heart, all of our mind, that He will provide for us the way He needs to. All right, guys. So I'm bringing my phone outside because my dog is ringing the bell. So um, take a journey with me. Yeah, being 48, you're not that old. Now, if this was like 50 years ago, you said 48, that'd be like you'd be an old man. But I mean, now people are working in their 60s, 70s. So if you want to change your career and you want to do something different, like there's still opportunities for you, and some of these places will they'll hire you on, and if you need further education, they'll pay for it. Because honestly, in this society, like finding people that are actually good at something or willing to work is few and far between. So I mean, there's opportunities out there for you. Sorry, I just gotta put this down real quick. Yeah, so the pictures on the wall is, when I became a single dad, like I wanted my house to feel like a home, so I made sure I put stuff up on the walls that made my son want to be there. And I put his artwork and stuff up there because it's motivation to me as well. So I appreciate you saying that. And then we'll get ice cream. Well, hey guys, I'm gonna get going. My dog wants to go for a walk, so but I appreciate you guys logging in and watching. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and comment on any of my videos. I'll make sure I comment on any of them. Look out for my live stream soon. So I hope you guys have a good night. And may God bless you all.